This is a brief video on dismantling the X1M PRO QRP HF radio. We'll crack it open and make some slight adjustments to the mic gain and also the CW side tone. So as you can see here, the first thing I've done is I've taken off these the two knobs on the front and of course the associated nuts and washers. From there there's the four hex screws on the front. Just undo all four of those. On the back you only need to undo the top two. However, I do suggest that if you want to do any more than just the realignment, i.e. removing the top board, I suggest you also loosen the lower two hex nuts by probably a couple of millimeters, 2 or 3 millimeters. This allows you to just be able to tilt this this back panel. I'll go into that a bit further later on. So once you've done that, it's fairly straightforward. This front panel comes straight off. There's not that much to it, and then you're faced with the front display controls and circuit board. From here, just sliding off the top case, or the top of the case, and then you're instantly exposed to the upper circuit board. Now if you look closely, you've got two little pots here. The one on the right hand side is for the mic gain, and the one on the left here is for the CW side tone. These both look like they're the default setting which you would find direct off the pick and place machine, so that they obviously haven't made any adjustments, and the audio level on sideband I've noticed is quite low, so you probably want to go about clockwise about 90 degrees on the mic audio, and you probably want to do about the same for the CW side tone, about 90 degrees clockwise. So that's it, fairly straightforward, not much more to it. I will go a bit further into dismantling the radio a bit more, breaking it down if you want to get into some of the other parts of the circuit boards and circuitry. I know a few people have been playing around with various parts and trying to make improvements and add in extra circuits, so we'll go through that now. Now the Pro version, this front control and display board comes off separately, and a couple of people have been discussing whether maybe older versions are upgradable. I don't know, and I don't think so. You'll notice the writing on the circuit board is X1M PRO. I suspect that version 1 and version 2 are different to this. However, they may have the same pinouts. I'm not too sure. Okay, so removal of the this front part is quite straightforward. It does just slide straight out. Now there's a row of pins here and also a row of pins here. Now there's the same again on the bottom, so just be careful. You need to make sure that as you are removing it, that you do it evenly. Evenly top and bottom, and evenly left and right. You may have to just pry it a little bit. And then once you get it to a certain point, it should be quite easy to come off. And don't do it, I just didn't bend a pin there. Okay, so there's the little OLED display and control board there. The OLED display looks really quite crisp if you turn the radio on without this front cover on. Tempted to leave it off. I was operating it without the front panel for a little while, but there it is there, X1M PRO control board. Okay, now from here can get a little bit more tricky. You've got the three screws that have got to be undone here, so we'll quickly do that. Now this is only if you want to take this top board off for whatever reason to get into the lower circuit board. Or if you need to get to the underside of this top board. Now I've read that a few people have had problems with the speaker coming adrift. I think that may have been with the older versions, not the Pro version, and putting a bit of hot melt glue here. This one's already been done, being the Pro version. I'm not too sure whether people have still had them come loose or not, but while you've got it open, probably wouldn't hurt to put some more on there. Okay, so with those screws undone, now what we need to do, you'll notice on the back here is the headphone port. It actually sits through the back panel. Now to lift this top board out, it needs to be lifted upwards. So this is where you need to loosen these two bolts, or ensure that they're loosened, and then just sort of pry it off a bit and get it off that connector so that this top board can come straight up. So I've already done that, and now we should, if we're nice and gentle, be able to lift this straight up with a bit of slight rocking, and there you go. So the interfaces with the top and bottom board, you'll see we've got this row of pins here, and then we've also got this other row of pins on this interface board here. So they're quite small pins, so you need to be fairly careful of that. In general, I've found the quality of the work is not too bad. All the circuit boards seem to be fairly well designed, and all the surface mount stuff is not too bad. Now these two capacitors here, obviously the products they ended up with were a bit longer than perhaps they'd allowed for, and when this top board is actually in place, if those capacitors were upright, they'd actually clash with these other surface mount ones on the top board. So they've obviously done a bit of a workaround there and tilted these caps over. Fortunately, they've put a bit of hot melt glue in there to give it a bit of stabilisation, so it won't come loose with any vibrations or knocking or anything like that. Inside we've got a 7809 9-volt regulator and a 7805. So this suggests to me that the radio can actually operate on fairly low voltage, far below the 12 volts. Being a 9-volt regulator, I think it's got to be at least possibly 1.5 volts above that. So you're looking at probably 10.5 volts or thereabouts. So similar power solutions that people have been using for the FT817 and what have you may also be suitable for this radio. I'll probably shoot another video with the reassembly. Enjoy. 7.3s VK3 TWO.